Hey, what's going on, everybody? Andrew here, back for our build review show. It is Monday, January 13th of 2025, and on this show, we're bringing users' builds up live on stream, giving them personalized feedback and advice about things I think that they can do different in their builds to help improve their post-contest sim ROIs and help them to build and submit stronger lineups into their contests. So we do this show Mondays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern. We skipped the last show because I've been a little sick, and but I wanted to make sure we got it done today. That way, give people the advice that they need to help them build better lineups going into the week here. So we have 2 people signed up for the show today. Reminder, if you ever want to get signed up for a show, all you need to do is drop your DK username and the sport and slate you want me to review in the office hours channel, or you can send us an email, however you want to do it. And when you do that, it gives me all the info I need to be able to pull your lineups up on stream and then help you out from there. So if you do that, I would be happy to review your lineups on a future show. So first person up is going to be John. Looks like we're going to be reviewing the NFL showdown slate between the Broncos and the Bills. So I got that pulled up here. Let's get it up on the screen. And we're going to start in the contest tab as always. All right. So what do we see? So John's playing one lineup in the flagship contest. This typically isn't how we recommend playing lineups in general. And the reason, right, is think about it like this. Let's assume that you are twice as good as everybody else in the contest. And you have this one lineup, right? Well, we're just going to round down. We'll even round down to make the numbers smaller. There's, 20,000 people in this contest approximately, right? So that means that your chances of winning are 1 in 20,000. Well, let's say that, you have a skill gap, right? Let's say you are better than the other players in the contest. Let's say you're twice as good, which is really hard to do. But let's say you're twice as good as everybody else. Well, now your odds of winning go from 1 in 20,000 to 1 in 10,000, right? Because of your skill gap. So even if you could be twice as good as the field, and it can still take you like a really long time to realize that edge, right? So this is like part of the reason that we recommend playing lower stakes contests, playing more lineups, getting, more shots on goal, getting more opportunities to win the contest. I know everyone wants to play the big one, win the big one, right? And I'm not saying don't play it. What I'm saying, though, is that play all the other good contests too, right? Play the dime times, play the quarter jig boxes, the 10 cent, the 25 cent, where you're getting 20 lineups down for $2, 20 lineups down for $5, the $1 20 max, right? 20 lineups down for $20, right? As opposed to, not, putting 20 lineups in the $15 isn't always feasible for everybody, right? It's something you build up to over time. So I would really recommend playing way more lineups at the lower stakes, 50 cent mini max, right? You can get 30 lineups in for the same cost. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. So won't harp on it too much, but this is going to be the biggest thing, right? Is probably adjusting your contest selection. Now, as far as the lineup that you entered here, let's go and look. Users. All right. So this lineup was negative 26% sim ROI. Seems like the builder didn't like it a ton here. Let's figure out why. So this lineup was duplicated 6 times. And if we're just looking at people who entered one lineup, it seems like there were a lot of opportunities to get to a more unique lineup here or a lower duplicated lineup. So I think it's a combination of, 1, this lineup had 6 duplicates. 2, the sim average score of this lineup is low. Like, seems like the best possible thing was like, hey, let's play a high sim average score lineup, and let's also have, 0 or 1 average dupes here. So this is what you got to be thinking about. Let's go to your build. Well, actually, let's look at what this lineup looked like. All right, James Cook, captain. Same team kicker, same team backup running back, and then a 3 stack on the other side. Looks like this lineup used max salary. That's one thing that we talk about, right? It's like, hey, the more salary you use, especially if you're using the max, typically the more likely this lineup is to be duplicated. It's like that's one thing to consider here. Let's go to the actual build where this lineup came from. All right, so what do we see here? So I'm not sure if they messed around with this after the fact, but let me just describe what I'm seeing. So 5K lineups, 0K minimum, 50K max, no filters, no rules, no lineup filters that I can see. Yeah, no lineup filters. Right now, they're sorting by contest sim dupes specifically here. I don't know if they did this on purpose or they were looking at something after the fact, but it doesn't look like the lineup they played would have come from like the list that we're seeing here. So I would just make sure that you're sticking with ROI. ROI is always going to be a better option here. It's going to be the best option out of all of the different contest sim metrics. So I would do that. Let's see. No exposure adjustments. 2 small adjustments, 2 projections. And other than that, pretty hands-off, right? So typically hands-off builds, hands-off builds can be good. They're typically better on like larger classic slates. I think when the slates get smaller, when duplication comes into account, when you're playing showdowns and things like that, you want to be a little bit more hands-on. We did talk about different ways to avoid duplication today on office hours. If you want to check that out, streamed that like an hour ago. But big things were like some salary adjustments, right? Chopping salary down, playing, maximum 49.8, maximum 49.7, using geometric mean, which we have good information on in our help docs, and then adjustments to some ownership. Those are like 3 really good ways that you can work to get lower duplicated lineups in your contests. So those would be the things that I would be looking at when trying to go from 6 dupes down to, 1 or 2 average dupes, right? So think about that. But the biggest thing here is definitely going to be the contest selection. Playing, one lineup in the 150 max every single slate is not the best way to be entering contests. And you can get a lot better lineups down, more lineups down for the same investment. And I would still recommend, those contests are still good, right? Even like the $3 20 max has, I think it's like 40K to first or something like that if you want to chase some big prizes. All right, good stuff there. Going to move on to our second person who signed up today, and that is going to be Moose. And we're going to be switching here from looking at NFL over to looking at some PGA, which will be fun. So let's go back to this tournament that just started here on the 9th. And let's get this up on the screen. Oh. All right. So we're going to start in the contest tab. So it's a lot closer to the contest selection that we like to see. So good example here, right? All low stakes, all contests under $3. Hammering these, entering less than the max where it makes sense to. So I think that's totally fine. I don't know what these lobbies look like. If you can mix in some single entry and 3 max, it's also a good thing. But this is a great start. Just small note for future contest investments. All right, let's pull up the mini max. Most entries, biggest entry tournament as well. So this will be a good one for us to study. All right, let's go over here to the side. All right. Mustafa is our guy, 150 entries, sort by sim ROI. All right, this is great. So what do we see, right? I think what's pretty interesting to me is that, sim average score for the person in first is not in first, but like the person with the highest sim ROI is 413 and Mustafa's is 427. Just comparing though, but what do we see? We see a high average salary, 49.8 plus. We see one average dupe, 99 uniques, 144 under 5, 427 sim average score. Sim average score does fluctuate a bit here, right? 413, 427. I see a 420. I see a 435, right? So we always talk about there's typically always like a range for a projection range you want to be in. Average projection isn't the only thing you want to care about, but there is like some floor that you need to be conscious of. And we see that here being in this like 415 range. But average projection is jumping around like a 20-point window. It's a little bigger than we usually see here. So kind of surprised about that. But all in all, very strong lineups. Don't think we're going to learn much more here. I think this is a good opportunity to, study some lineups and study a process. So we're in the build where these lineups came from. We see 47K minimum, which I think is default, 50K max, no filters, no rules. We see no exposure adjustments. We see the minimum required 2 minor projection adjustments. We see 3 uniques. We see ROI. We see unique rank. I don't know if they use direct fill or autofill. They do have a number of different aggregate metrics that they're using to analyze their lineups here. It's all good. And I'm not 100% sure if they jumped between direct and auto. I don't know if they ended up using auto or they used direct or what it is. But what do I see, right? I see a super hands-off build. I see diversification. I see a lot of data points to check their lineups and make sure everything looks the way they want to. We see pretty flat exposures. No golfer in more than 34% of their lineups. I'm pretty sure this is directly coming from the 3 uniques. So they're using a uniques to get spread out. I think this is an awesome. And it's probably really, really time efficient. So I don't have a ton else to talk about here just because, one, it's hands off. 2, it's grading out so well, and I don't want them to do anything to deviate from this. But if you're looking for some, clarifications on, if you're moving in the right direction, you are 100% doing something right here. So I think this is a good process for other people to learn things from, and especially they're trying to get into golf or up their golf game here early in the year. So good job, Moose. All right. Those are our 2 people who signed up. I am keeping the shows a little short here, being that I'm still recovering from this sickness. So appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll be back Friday for the next Build Review show. So until then, everybody take care. Good luck. Thanks. Bye.